In recent Pokemon games, they always seem to try to do things to spice things up a little. Try something new. And I like that, sometimes. Now, these ideas don't always work, and you end up with something like dynamaxing, which from what I've seen, quite a few people just hated. To me, it was good, just nothing too special. So when I heard about terastalizing Pokemon, I was very skeptical at first. But this just might be a real game changer in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But before we get into that, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because this very real and definitely not fake comment from the YouTube algorithm says that your channel will never cross 1,000 subscribers. And also, you probably smell bad. Okay, well, that's hurtful. And as always, I really appreciate any support that you send my way. Now, if you don't want anything spoiled and you just want to experience everything that the game has to offer on launch day, I totally respect that. Now is your chance to click off this video. I don't think we're necessarily going to cover everything, but we are going to go pretty deep into the dirty details. Now, still with me? Okay, let's get started. If you've ever played a Pokemon game before, you'll be pretty familiar with typing. Like water is super effective against fire or grass against water. You get the picture. But terastalizing is really just going to screw with this system, and I mean this in a good way. So every Pokemon has a Tera type, but this remains inactive until you decide to terastalize. And you can only do this once per battle. When you terastalize, you get a crystallized gem-like version of your Pokemon. Now, I'm not crazy about the whole crystal concept. Like when I saw this, I thought, so it's a crystal now, so what? Big whoop. But as I started to really get more information about this, I gotta say, it's pretty cool. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not without its own flaws. But I definitely appreciate the direction that they're trying to head in. So now that you have a terastalized Pokemon in battle, your Tera type becomes active. And what's cool is that this can not only be the same as your Pokemon's type, but you could end up with something totally different. So let's just say that if you were to catch 5 Eevees, they could potentially all have different Tera types, like water or flying, but you could even end up with something funky like a ghost or something. Now, as I'm sure you know, there's like 18 different types in the game, so there's just going to be a ton of different combinations that you can have. Not only that, but you're going to be spending a lot more time on catching Pokemon, because now you aren't just looking for new Pokemon. If you plan on adding it to your party, you got to consider what Tera type you're looking for, right? Like, you're not just going to catch all fire Tera types. I mean, you could, but, To me, this just takes team building to a new level. And you know what? If you have a Pokemon that you absolutely love, by picking the right Tera type that you need, you're going to end up using this Pokemon just a little bit more. Especially with all the terastalizing battles that you're going to do. So to go along with this, it's important to know how this phenomenon all works. In order to terastalize a Pokemon, you need a Tera Orb. And as we said before, you can only do this once per battle. Also, when a terastalized Pokemon uses a move that matches its Tera type and at least one of its original moves, the boost to that move's power is going to be even greater. So let's just say that you terastalize a Sprigatito? Okay, close enough. This one. So if you terastalize that Pokemon, and it has a grass Tera type, any grass moves were going to get a power bonus. Now, just by hearing that, you might think, well, it makes more sense to have the same type and Tera type. Well, I don't entirely disagree. There's another side to this. So let's just say that you're battling a terastalized bug type, and you're using an Eevee. Since Eevee is a normal type, you don't really have anything that's going to really knock its socks off. But let's say that this Eevee has a flying Tera type. You're now going to get the advantage against that Pokemon. Not only that, but by activating your flying Tera type, your Pokemon's weakness changes with it. So this just became an offensive and defensive strategy. Once you do terastalize, your Tera Orb is going to lose all of its energy, and you won't be able to use it again until it's been recharged. But the good news is you can charge your Tera Orb either by finding crystals in the game, or you can always go to the Pokemon Center. It's good because there's other methods to recharging, because constantly heading to a Pokemon Center seems like a real pain. What's cool is that terastalized Pokemon isn't going to be limited to raid or gym battles. You can encounter them in the wild by finding sparkling, glowing Pokemon in the field and just walking right up to it. This is a step up from Sword and Shield, because considering how dynamaxing was such a core part of the story, if you aren't doing raid battles, it's not really something that you use that often. Like if you're just going gym battle to gym battle, the only time you're ever really using that is in the gym battle. And I just feel like if there were random encounters where Pokemon would just suddenly Dynamax out of nowhere, I would have probably liked that concept a lot more. I also feel like this is really going to shake things up in the battle stadium when you're facing off against other players. Just because it's like having a secret type in battle. If you throw out a Glaceon, your opponent's going to have no idea what Tera type it's packing. And even if they have a Pokemon that's super effective against your Glaceon, if this is your designated terastalizing Pokemon, depending on your Tera type, you could now have the upper hand. Of course, this video wouldn't be complete if we didn't at least cover the raid battles. Raid battles are going to return in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. These battles do work similarly to Sword and Shield, but I feel like it's gotten a little better. The biggest change of all is that all trainers in a raid battle are allowed to seamlessly make moves throughout the battle, rather than just taking turns. And I'm really happy about this because that's the one thing in particular I just hated in Sword and Shield. It just felt like those battles went on forever, but without anything really interesting happening. Like, I think a majority of your time is spent just waiting for your next turn. You're also going to be in a group with 3 other trainers, which will be either real people or, if you're antisocial like me, use the AIs. But don't do that, because the amount of times that they brought a Magikarp to a 5-star raid was ridiculous. Bad jokes aside, I hope they make this better. A lot of the times it was incredibly difficult to even find real players. So most of the time I had no choice but to do the AI battles. And despite having great Pokemon, 9 times out of 10, they would just do something useless like heal the party even though your health is already full. So if they actually improve on this side of things, I think it's just going to make things a lot better, especially if you're having a hard time actually making it into a battle with real players. Now, during these battles, you're going to need to defeat a terastallized Pokemon with a specific time limit. The cool thing is that these terastallized Pokemon are said to have potentially unique or rare Tera types from the usual that this Pokemon will have. So basically, you're going to find all the funky Tera types here, according to IGN anyways. If they do battles right, it'll actually be something that you can enjoy doing. Being able to seamlessly make your moves already makes this sound so much better. Once the Tera Raid Pokemon is defeated, you and your teammates, like usual, can catch it. You can also earn items for successfully defeating the Tera Raid, and I'm thinking this is probably going to be a lot of XP boosts and maybe a few other items, similar to what we had before. Now, me personally, I kind of have a love-hate for XP boosts, because on one hand it can be helpful, but I find like a lot of the times it just makes you lazy, you know? Like if you find a Pokemon that you really like, and it's under-leveled, basically all you're really going to do is just do a few raid battles, get the XP boosts, and just jump right up. Now, I get it that you don't have to do these things, but if you're sitting there looking at 50 XP candies, you're going to be at least a little tempted to do that. Now, finding these raid battles is going to be pretty straightforward. You're going to find these glittering crystals found throughout Paldea. So if you're looking for a specific Tera type, this is going to be like pressing an easy button because the color of the crystal indicates what kind of Tera type Pokemon you're going to find in the raid battle. So at least going in, you're going to sort of know what to expect. I think when we consider the overall potential that something like this has in the new game, or even future titles as this concept starts to advance, things might just get a little more exciting. I think as long as they don't change too much from what makes these games great, things are only going to get better and better from here. But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on the new Terastallized Phenomenon? Let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.